This past Game Awards caught a lot of flack for several reasons. Not enough time spent on awards.
So we want to dedicate this to all the people we lost, and especially to Jim, our lead cinematic artist, who passed away in the last month.
No acknowledgement of the dire industry layoffs.
It really has been an outstanding year for gaming. And now to talk about some of the biggest games, it's a pleasure to welcome from the Muppets, that's right, the great Gonzo.
Oh, thank you.
And an overfocus on Hollywood appearances.
You too. I see you.
Shut up.
No, you shut up, Mackie. But that last gripe actually resulted in my personal favorite reveal of the night, Tales of Kenzera Zau, an Afrofuturist Metroidvania. If you're unfamiliar with that description, it's because Afrofuturism is still a very rare setting in the gaming space. It can be categorized as a thematic element that focuses on African or Black diasporic science fiction. Enter Surgeon Studios, a team founded and led by Abubakar Salem and backed by EA's Originals label. Abu is an actor. He starred in Ridley Scott's Raised by Wolves and will be in the upcoming season of House of the Dragon. But he also happens to be a huge fan of video games, and after portraying Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins, he was inspired to fulfill a longtime dream of creating a game himself. I was able to speak with him briefly after a recent online press event for the game. He expanded on many points made during the original reveal, how the game is largely inspired by Bantu mythos and stories told to him by his now late father.
But 4 years ago, I decided that I needed to try and process my grief in a way that felt true to me and him. So I took the biggest risks of my life and threw everything that I had in making a game. A piece of art that honored him, an ode to the people we have loved and lost.
How the unfamiliar sprawling map inherent to the genre is being used as a metaphor for attempting to find your way through grief, and how there are far too few faces like his within this industry. Abu's story is a powerful one that left a strong impression on me, and it's immediately evident, even while playing the demo, that the project is filled with passion. The game follows a young shaman named Zau as he makes a deal with the god of death Kalunga to revive his father. In exchange, he will seek and capture 3 great spirits that have eluded him. The premise immediately brings to mind the likes of Shadow of the Colossus, hinting heavily that this journey may not unfold the way Zau hopes. The mission sends him traveling across Kenzera, a fictional futuristic land heavily inspired by Kenyan culture. The demo only lets you see a sparse few early areas, but the gorgeous natural environments and beautifully painted stonework of buildings and platforms reminded me how rarely we ever get anything with a distinctly African aesthetic in video games. Abu is what's known as a second generation, being born to Kenyan immigrant parents in the UK. It's something he and I actually share, as I'm the second generation of my Nigerian parents here in America. There's a dual identity at play as a child of immigrants, where you try your best to fit in with the society around you while adhering to very different values in your home and family life. It's a juggling act that often leads to tension between a new age child and their traditional parents, and is a concept Abu thought to explore with the game's combat mechanics. In addition to fast and fluid movement options like a teleport dash and double jump, you have access to 2 combat styles, the Mask of the Moon and the Mask of the Sun. The Moon's mask focuses on ranged attacks you can aim in any direction, while the Sun's mask handles close combat and bigger damage dealing, granting lengthier combos when you switch between the 2 styles mid-fight. The opposing masks are 2 parts of a greater shared identity. There's a lot of symbolism packed into the game. Abu made mention of how he desperately wanted to avoid having environments that felt too overtly gamey, and so opted to model areas as representations of emotions, like fear or anxiety. I'm unsure if any of those areas are featured in the demo, but I was certainly drawn into the world in part by the amazing character designs and the excellent voice work.
You wield a powerful mask. I use the mask to channel my power. It is the Mask of the Moon. Baba taught me the ways.
Every bit of Kenzera has lore. Characters, locations, and enemies all have write-ups in the game's codex, fleshing out a rich history for a possible expanded universe. I'm honestly excited, not just for this game, but for the potential of more in this fantastic setting. Abu admitted that he'd love to explore other stories outside of Zau's, in other games, in other genres, possibly even other mediums. He mentioned League of Legends and how Arcane helped expand on that game's world. It's something I'd be happy to see as well, but going even further, I just want to see more stuff in this setting. Afrofuturism has been around since the 70s, but it's only been in the last decade or so that it started to break into mainstream media. The release of Marvel's Black Panther was surely a catalyst for that. But other examples are still few and far between. To name a few, Disney's animated anthology Kazazimoto, HBO's Lovecraft Country, and Netflix's They Cloned Tyrone are great, but examples in games are far more difficult to find. I enjoyed the small sample of Tales of Kinzerazawu I got to play, and my fingers are crossed that it's a starting point for a much bigger wave of the Afrofuturist aesthetic in games going forward.